feel the general behind me, looking east towards Inhaka, from whence he came, before we took him to Singapore and beyond. Of course, in my usual minimalistic way, I didn't want him at all initially, and now he almost breathes behind me. The general overlooks our dining room table at which I'm writing, having come downstairs from my study, which views the mosque opposite through slatted blinds, a bit reminiscent of Adam Park, Singapore. This is still new ground, this compact modern townhouse, after our vast Victorian empty nest. We've downsized, sorted the attic, sold or donated the excess, and, similar to life after smoking, are astonished but sometimes delighted with the shift. Of course, demons lurk and strike regularly, that sharp metallic taste of melancholy, doubt, or worse. For example, just this morning, I picked up the photo of the 5 of us at Cape Town International, seeing our middle son Dom off to 3 years at Les Roches in Switzerland. Each face telling its own subtle tale of farewell through stoic smiles and stiff uppers. That is all very much part of a previous chapter now that we've moved, and they are all thousands of miles to the east. Perhaps this phase belongs to the general, who has positioned himself so prominently in this new place, possibly to preside, placate, or protect. The general was painted by David Inhaka, a mysterious character, an artist living at the place that bears his name. Actually, it may be the other way round, he being named after the place, from whom we acquired the painting on a visit to that magical location in the 90s. What a totally funky African occasion. We had been invited to Inhaka, which is actually a peninsula, by a colleague, John Young, since passed on, welcoming me as the new boss by way of a trip to his life raft service station in Maputo. John was a complete Mozambique aficionado, which struck a strong chord with my own fond childhood memories of family trips to Lorenzo Marx and Bilene to the north. John had booked us into the Inhaka Island Lodge, and on our first night took us into a nearby village for a meal. This was a shanty town, a gorgeous African evening with boisterous kids playing soccer in the twilight dust, dogs joining in harmlessly while calm, puzzled elders watched our group of whiteys with apparent detachment. The restaurant, shall we say, was extraordinary. A blend of shack, tent, eclectic furniture, and general flotsam, including some very naive paintings randomly displayed on the walls. One of these was of Princess Anne, and the other bore a title, General Carmona. Pride of place was assumed by a glass front counter, possibly salvaged from a 60s Germiston corner cafe, upon which was perched a transistor radio cassette player, delivering scratchy, infectious Moz reggae. We were early, but not the first. A young Canadian couple, surely United Nations or World Bank employees, or maybe just super sussed backpackers, sat nearby, grooving to the music, and maybe more. Some locals sipped Deutsch M beer with almost Mediterranean serenity. We sat down, somewhat high on this milieu, and regarded each other expectantly. "So," said John, stroking his moustache and suppressing a mischievous grin, Do you come here often? We bought General Carmona that very evening, leaving the logistics of his transport to the ever-kindly John. He arranged for the picture to be taken firstly to Maputo, then to Durban, from whence it sailed by tug to Cape Town.
Miles away but still I feel you in my bed. Your face is just a picture hanging in my head. Release me from this hunger, drown my aching thirst in the cool of your evening. Give me shelter from my heat. Has no ending, the destination's gone. Truth lies buried somewhere, but it could take too long. And the answer to my question could suddenly appear in that celebrated second when you get back here.
I'm looking at a photograph of our black and white. That's the terminology for a villa built in the so-called black and white style, literally painted white for the mortar work, and then all the woodwork, of which there was a lot, that would all be painted black, and it comes straight out of the British colonial era. And our house in Adam Park was just a gorgeous place to be, situated in a park, so surrounded by greenery, and we had a wonderful time there. Well, here's a little anecdote. What do you mean, Singapore? Well, yes, that's exactly what and where I mean. But what's wrong with here? This is the best place to be. Where else can you live like this? Actually, come to think about it, there are a few places, but it's not about that. This is about a job, an opportunity, an adventure. It's about living life to the full, grabbing it with both hands and shaking it. It's like when we left the big smoke for the mother city, which we did to give the kids a quality of life they would be able to remember with pleasure. And so we went to Singapore. For Lynn, it was a huge step. She gave up her teaching post and lost the employer's portion of her pension, plus accumulated long leave privileges. We sold our beautiful home in Lister Road because it was going to be too hard to let from a distance, only to return 4 years later and buy another home. Lynn packed 2 containers, having furnished our black and white in Adam Park by remote design. It might well have reminded Mutti of her own trip to Africa with an 18-month-old toddler, i.e. me, 50 years before. The 2 photographs I have of us on the ship and then on the train ride into Africa speak volumes. She never saw her mother again and only returned to the land of her birth 17 years later. I don't think she ever really recovered. Prior to going to Singapore, we'd been to one of numerous Grahamstown festivals that we loved to attend. And a song came out of that, which I never really recorded, but I do have the lyrics. Grahamstown to Singapore. From Grahamstown to Singapore. I'd not been this road before, lay me down upon the floor, buy me a house next to the shore. From WA back to CA, just like that dream from the Combi days, the mother town has come of age, so many children needing a wage. Back once more to the low-felt bush, saw your name in a coffee book. Fathers, sons, hunting guns. It's been good to have another look. Where's your home when you're alone? How did you know which way to go? So the second part of that, where there's reference to WA back to CA, that's Western Australia. After Singapore, we stayed in Perth for a while and then eventually returned to the mother city. And then the reference to the low-felt bush is about our visit, our wonderful visit to Londolozi with the Bishop's Prep father and sons bunch that went out there. The next song also hasn't really been properly recorded, but again I have the lyrics, and this came about as a result of my uneasy relationship with corporate politics. I think it'll become clear from the words. Doing fine. Listen to that knocking at your door. Do you recognize it from before? Is it what it seems, part of a bad dream, as you lie awake at 10 to 4? As she looks into your liquid eyes, ultimately she must realize her magnificent dream was another of your schemes, measured by the bottom line. Oh, and by the way, I'm doing fine. Have you yet done a deal? Or do you still have to steal? I can hear your wheels spinning, listen to them squeal. When you pushed me from the aeroplane, it dropped me right into the winning lane. You were so astute, but I got the parachute. So you see, I'm doing fine. We will not be mentioning your name, but they will recognize you just the same. You are so well known. Your character of stone is a blinding light for everyone. Really, I don't wish you any harm. Thoughts arise. They cause me no alarm. You were so sincere, the elegant mania. But it was such a thin veneer, and everyone could see your fear. Makes me want to shed a tear, or maybe have another beer.
Painted by David, Inhaka, Mozambique. General Carmona, I presume. John with his mischievous grin. Do you come here often? Did you travel far? I didn't want him, but we took him in. Tugging down East Coast to the mother city, we judged you up in a golden frame, filled in your ballpoint moustache. Will you travel often? Will you travel far? Will you get to know who we really are? I look into your eyes for hours, and in the end, though, it's me who turns away. Black and white, Adam Park, Singapore, 2 City Beach, WA. sky. Same destination, safe and warm. All be home and dry. You traveled often, you traveled far. You got to know